Hi, everyone. I'm sitting with something this morning that I'm being asked to share. So last night I couldn't sleep and I was reading The Law of One. The Law of One, a lot of you have probably read this book and heard about this book. If you haven't, it's a channeled book. It's a group of researchers that was channeling a consciousness, a spirit, entity, whatever word you want to use, known as Ra, which they believe to be, an interdimensional being. And this book it's been just showing up. There's been a lot of synchronicity with it lately, so I've decided to finally sit down and read it in detail. And one of the things that I was reading last night that came through the channeling was that these beings, these galactic beings that are benevolent, that are supporting humanity right now, that they are assisting us in the ascension process. And part of that ascension process is for us to move into a frequency of love, to be able to move into a frequency of joy, to be able to vibrate at a certain space within ourselves so that we are able to elevate into these higher dimension. So whether we're looking at fourth or fifth, or we're looking at the second world, or Tara, or a new planet, there's a lot of different language that we're using to describe that. But ultimately, I think we are all searching for how do we get out of this drama that's happening around us in the world right now. And so this concept of ascension is about looking within ourselves to find that path, potentially out of this prison matrix that we have described here. And what I really liked is they talked about free will, and I talk about free will a lot because it is a universal law that we need to have free will, which means that we need to have the right to choose. And I feel all beings are bound to this law. There's repercussions if we violate this law. So they were talking about truth and how there's a desire for us to know truth, to find truth, but it gets distorted because a lot of us are looking outside of ourselves for the truth. We're looking to the news, we're looking at books, we're looking at teachers and gurus and our friends to try and find the answer. But how many of us are actually pausing and going into a space of quiet, whether that's meditation or it's walking through nature or whatever your method is to get there, and allowing the truth to move through us, to find that inner truth. And they were saying how important it is for us to find that truth, but they were saying how they're helping us along in that regard, but truth does not come with proof. And they made this very clear distinction that we will be given the truth, and we must learn to know how to attune ourselves to be able to read and receive that truth, but we will not be given proof because proof is coming from outside of ourselves. And the other challenge with proof is that it can potentially violate free will. So if, for example, the news were to come out and be like, this is the truth, this is what's going on, everyone must believe it, it's a violation of free will, because free will means that each person has the choice to choose to accept or reject whatever that truth is. And in order for us to ascend in that really beautiful, natural, organic way that our souls have come here to do, we need to be able to choose what we align with, what we see as truth, what our path may be. And this really is striking me today because when we look at what's happening, when we look at how information is being shared, and we look at the frustration that we all have of, we just want someone to tell us the truth. We just want disclosure to happen. And the information is already there. It's already in our collective consciousness. It's already within our galaxy, and it's accessible to all of us, but we're looking in the wrong place. We are looking out there. We are looking for someone to tell us and to tell everyone else around us to validate that what the truth that we're seeing is true. And I don't know if it's coming. I really think that we're going to have to dig down into ourselves and learn how to resonate with truth, and then learn how to be okay with people expressing themselves that may not be the same truth as us, or maybe expressing it in a slightly different way, and still holding love in our heart for them, and recognizing and appreciating and respecting that that is their decision in terms of what they are accepting and what they are rejecting at this moment. Now, here's the other element that's really interesting to me. And, this is in the Law of One, based on what my interpretation of what I was reading, but it's also well known within the collective field. So this is something a lot of us have been talking about for quite a while, and that is that there has to be a motivation in the human spirit to go out and navigate this process. There has to be this motivation for us to ask questions, to look at what our surroundings are, and start to realize that a lot of this physical world that we are existing in is an illusion. And so, how do we get out of that illusion, right? What is the process of us getting out of that illusion? Is it as simple as sitting down in nature and meditating for half an hour? Maybe for some of us. But we are so attached to this physical world. We're attached to the money system. We're attached to our homes. We're attached to our relationships. We're attached to the societies that we've created. And in order for us to get beyond those attachments that, ultimately are an illusion, we got to have some motivation. We got to have this little bit of a fire that's lit inside of us. And so how do we create that motivation? We get little snippets of truth without the proof. It's like, the culmination of the mystery of life, that we know there's something truthful here, and we know there's something missing here. So how do I prove it to myself? And even as we move down that journey, I think we also hit these walls where I feel I know the truth, but now I feel like I need to convince others of that same truth. And I think there's a lot of us that are hitting this wall right now of, we may feel confident in what we know and confident in how we see the illusion and how it's playing out and what the truth is, but we feel this need or mission that we need to help everybody else see that same illusion. And their illusion may be different than ours. Yes, we're all connected. Yes, we have this collective consciousness, but in this third dimension, we're working through the individual attachment to the illusion. So, I woke up this morning and I was thinking about my own young children who wake up every night from a nightmare, and they come running into our room, right? And parents know this scenario. Your kids are afraid of a monster. They wake up from a nightmare. Do you let them sleep with you in bed? Do you cuddle them, or do you make them tough and strong? And there's a lot of different theories on that. I mean, my perspective has always been, if a child is waking up from a nightmare, you hug them, you embrace them, you listen to the story, and you help them find the courage to integrate it and to move through it, right? It's very rare that, you would have a child that is having a nightmare and you would be yelling at them and accusing them of having a nightmare and being asleep and all of these things, because that's not gonna help them grow from that. That's not gonna help them see the illusion of the nightmare, right? It's going to almost reinforce it on some level, or reinforce the fear of it and prevent them from really seeing it. And I believe we are all those children. When you look at time and space, we are in all time, all the time. And so we are the adult, we are the child, and it's time for us to start hugging ourselves. It's time for us to say, wow, that was a really intense nightmare. Tell me more about it. How does that make you feel? How can you be courageous if it happens again? And let's just hug. Let's find a safe space to move through this fear that's rising up in this moment, so that when we wake up in the morning, we feel strong. We feel alive. We feel ready to take on this mission that we came here to do. So I don't know if that helps you or not, but anyway, that's my thought for the day. That's sitting with me, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. Much love to you all.